the future is, but it'll never be our past. You can distance in your world, but never ever change the past. Hey everybody, it's Fight Club Hobbs. Welcome to another episode of GVN Live, and with me is Jan and Mark. And how are you guys doing today? Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Hi, Jan.
Hello.
Okay, that was a good talk. So, well, it's been an interesting couple of weeks since our last episode of GVN Live. I mean, we had a great episode. If you didn't catch it, go to my YouTube page. We celebrated the 20th anniversary of the Sega Dreamcast released in North America, and now it's downhill from there. So today's episode, we are going to be talking about OBS getting the big sponsorship from Twitch. We're going to be talking about some of the things that have been going on with Twitch these past couple of weeks, and then some. And to start things off, we're going to be talking about Sony's State of Play. But let's see what we've all been playing lately. I picked up Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. I'm having so much fun going through that game again. Definitely a wonderful little nostalgia punch to the gut right there. It's just, I just really love the game. I mean, the only thing I have issue with it right now is the consistent choppiness that shows up when you're changing between scenes, the frame rate dipping every so often. Outside of that, I think the game is great. Playing a little bit of Monster Hunter Iceborne here and there too. I really like it. I am not looking forward to October's DLC. The last thing I need is to get punched in the dick by Rajang. So, Capcom, you can go fuck yourself. It's bad enough you added the Yin Garuga to the fucking game. Jesus Christ. But enough about me, because nobody cares about me.
Hey, Robert.
Hey, Mark.
You've got something on your shoulder.
Yeah, it's a fucking Cacodemon.
That is not how that's pronounced.
Yeah, how's it pronounced?
Not like it's going to suck your dick.
Well, he's got a pretty big mouth, so, I mean, what is it used for?
Oh, come on.
Look, is that your... I mean, okay, I'm not going to kink shame out loud.
This is what we do on a weekly basis.
Yep.
Fantastic.
I know, right? But,
Oh, like you're any better.
Oh, no, absolutely. I'm fucking horrible.
No, you're probably the worst of the three of us, Jen.
Yeah, I would say about right.
Yeah. Scrolling through your Twitter feed. Very enlightening stuff. But how do you pronounce it, Mark?
I don't fucking remember, but it's not pronounced like penis.
It's a Cacodemon. You got a problem with that? Cacodemon.
That's not right, man.
Cacodemon.
We're just gonna go with it and move on, I guess.
Yes.
That's just what
But
we
anyway,
gotta do.
hey Jan, what have you been playing?
So 14's kind of in that lull period where we're waiting for the next patch, which is next month. So I'm looking forward to that, because that's gonna be more story content for the MSQ and the Yorha Dark Apocalypse near raid.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited as fuck for that. That's going to be quality. WoW hit their 8.2.5 patch today, where you get to unlock a bee for a flying mount, which is eerily reminiscent of how you used to have to get your Chocobo license in Final Fantasy XI, which is
God.
Do a daily, get an item, feed it to the mount over X amount of real-time days, and then you unlock the mount quest.
That was the stupidest fucking thing in 11.
See, the thing about 11 is that everything fell down into building it over a period of real-time hours or days. So your AF armor had to be built by a smith in-game. Like, I remember distinctly, like, the chest for Samurai took 24 hours for it to actually be crafted. by the NPC. So you
Yep.
had to give him a bunch of items, and then it took him a full real-time day for him to actually make the item, and then you had to go back to get it. It's kind of the same thing, only there's extra steps because it's WoW, and there's obviously a rep grind involved. Thankfully, there is no time gate behind the rep grind, so you can simply just sit there and like hunt people that give honey for like 8 hours and get a bee.
Okay.
But there's a 7-day time gate behind actually unlocking the bees, so that's a thing. Other than that, pretty much just that and Iceborne and Magic, because I'm super excited for the Throne of Eldraine release. So I'm really looking forward to the new set. It's going to be pretty awesome.
So how about you, Mark?
That just reminds me, like, why even if I wanted to play another MMO, I would just go back to 14. Like, just fuck World of Warcraft for a lot of reasons, but.
But hey, you can play World of Warcraft Vanilla now.
I did my time. Get out.
No. I played World of Warcraft Vanilla. It was shit then.
But you don't want to revisit the shittiness in all its glory?
No.
Arguably, the next patch that they've currently got it at isn't as bad as it probably could be, since it's basically like the step away from Burning Crusade. Arguably one of the best expansions the game ever had. But it's still vanilla, it's still slow, and people beat Molten Core within the first week and a half of it going live. So, yeah.
But yeah, going back to you, Mark. What have you been playing, buddy?
I've been going through on my Xbox and like trying out stuff that is on Games with Gold, or I'm sorry, the Game Pass rather, just to just to see like what is there, what I can play, what certain things are, what certain things feel like that I would not have spent money on otherwise. Most notably, I just recently booted up Prey. I played the demo and it was not very engaging, but I decided, you know what, I want to try the actual game itself. Like, I want to...
Is this the reboot Prey or the re-release of the original 360 version?
Oh no, the reboot, the Arcane Studios developed 2017 game.
Okay.
I played and beat the original Prey. I have no desire to go back to that game ever again.
Fucking yikes.
It's not the worst thing I've ever played. It's just mediocre and dumb.
Yeah.
Not even bad and dumb, it's just mediocre and dumb. Though it did inspire my friend Joel to come up with one of the greatest jokes that he's ever come up with. Did either of you play Prey?
Yeah, I played a little bit of it.
The original one, yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So there's the whole thing where like Tommy's dead grandfather is constantly bringing him into the spirit realm. And just, Tommy! Grandfather, what are we doing here? Grandfather, what's going on? Grandfather, why are you naked? Grandfather, why am I naked?
Oh, yikes.
And it's just, that's what I think of whenever I think of Prey. That and the fact that he has to murder his fucking scorpion girlfriend.
Oh, well, true.
Which, if you haven't fucking played the game, you really didn't want to. I'm not even going to warn you about a spoiler on it. It's mediocre. You don't need to see it.
No. It's kind of like...
No. Go ahead.
I think the original, like, the original Prey kind of reminds me, like, the difference between, like, the original and, like, the newer one is kind of like the differences between, like, trying to play Hexen and playing Thief. One is mediocre at best, and the other one is actually, like, kind of an innovator in the genre, which is, like, weird, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, well, I mean, I played, the new one. I've been playing the new one. I should be clear there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not bad. The demo, I don't think really made the experience shine in any particular way. It gets the spoiler of the game, like the big like first act spoiler of the game out of the way right up front, which is kind of to the game's detriment. But like, it doesn't really put its best foot forward as it relates to showcasing what the rest of the game is about.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing it up to. I played about like 3 hours of it at this point, and it's fine. It's. I want to say. I'm trying to remember what the technical term is for those sorts of games, or not the technical term, but the commonly accepted term.
I'm not exactly sure what to help you out with.
Well, you know, it's like it's in the same general category as Thief, as you had mentioned, but also to a certain extent, what the fuck, Deus Ex.
Okay,
And you know, other games that are in that particular wheelhouse.
Time frame.
Well, not even the time frame. It's they're all especially associated by the one code that is constantly a fucking door or a lock code in every single fucking game. It's like 0451 or something like 0451. Yes.
Yeah.
So they're all like it feels like an 0451 game. You know, if you have played an 0451 game, you immediately know what you're getting into with this. Except there's more of a horror element here than there is in most of those games. There are... The game is very much structured around the idea of like these weird shadow monster type things called... I don't even remember what the fucking name of them is at this point. It's been a very tiring day. But like, you know, you're fucking... Like they're these like shadow monsters. The smaller versions of them take over as like other objects in the environment, so you will be looking around and all of a sudden like you'll see a chair kind of shake a little bit, and if you don't do anything about it, then that's whatever, but it may turn out to actually be one of these mimic creatures. So it's, do I ignore it, or do I run over and swing my fucking wrench at the goddamn thing, and if it's not a monster, I just feel like an idiot. So there's a very odd sort of tenseness to the experience where you're constantly shifting back and forth between feeling like a dumbass for swinging your weapon at something that's not even there, or like actually hitting something and having a monster come jumping out of it and go, oh Jesus Christ, and then like, you know, you have to freaking deal with that. I was kind of thinking about putting it aside a little bit and playing it during the upcoming month of October because, you know,
Fair.
horror games. But
I mean, fair.
I mean, I may just play it anyway after I've done whatever it is I'm going to do with it, because it's fun enough that I would be willing to give it another shot, and I have like a gajillion fucking horror games to play regardless.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I've had Soma installed for like 7 months. I haven't played that goddamn thing.
I still need to play Soma in Fear, so I get it.
You need to play Fear, the original one.
Yeah, I never played it.
It's okay. I like the first one better than any of the sequels, that's for sure.
Well, the only thing I know about
yeah.
Fear is that Rooster Teeth made a one-time, or no, a mini-series video about it, which is actually kind of funny. My favorite part being the boss and a recruit went out to investigate the ghost, and the next thing you know, the boss gets killed by the ghost, and he's just turned into a skeleton, and the guy's just like, "Hey, boss, where's your meat?" I just thought it was funny. It's a
funny joke.
It's a dated joke.
It's one of those you had to be there kind of things.
Yeah, but
that's the kind of dated where I would have fucking went to the bathroom and never come back.
Oh jeez. Going to the corner store to get some cigarettes. We'll see you later. Where's Daddy at?
Oh,
bye, Zeke.
Ooh.
But I also played a bit more of Subnautica.
How is that? It's on my wish list.
It's okay.
Is that a 2D game or is it a 3D game? Because
no, it's a fully 3D game.
Fully 3D game. Okay.
Subnautica, yeah.
There's another underwater exploration game, but it's a 2D one. I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know.
Azu or some Azure or something like that.
Oh, Abzu. I
Abzu.
actually played that. I played like an hour of that because that's also on the Game Pass, and that game feels like. Do you remember the two games that they came out with on the Wii, the Endless Ocean games?
Yeah.
I heard of the first one, but I don't remember. I never played them actually.
Okay. Well, Abzu looks 2D. It is a fully 3D game.
Okay.
It basically feels like Endless Ocean with a shittier soundtrack, which is not a criticism against the Abzu soundtrack, so much as it is a lionization of the soundtrack for Endless Ocean, because the soundtrack for Endless Ocean is the fucking shit. Abzu doesn't really have like that strong of a soundtrack going for it. It's fine, it's there, but otherwise it's just, you're like, so far as I've seen, because I've only played like an hour, you're just kind of swimming around and solving puzzles, so there's a little bit more going on under the hood structurally than there is with Endless Ocean. Endless Ocean was just kind of swim in the ocean and pet fish.
Fair.
There was things you could do, but you didn't have to, and the game wasn't going to penalize you for not. In Abzu, there's like a forward progression you want to make.
That's good.
It's not bad. I don't regret not paying money for it.
Does anybody regret not paying for something?
There are times when I play a game and I'm like, man, I wish I had paid money for this. You know? Gears 5 is not one of those games.
Well, you've never been a fan of the games, of the franchise anyway.
Well, not true. I do actually own. I have paid full price for the first 3 games, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
I have every game. I physically own the first 3 games. I have every game that came out on the original Xbox except for Judgment, or whatever the fuck the name of that side quest was. I just gave up on it after that because it was very samey. So I downloaded Judgment, Gears 4, and Gears 5, and installed them to the Xbox One. But I played Gears 5 because we live in a society where you can now just pay $15 a month and get the hottest, newest games delivered to your fucking platform and just play them the day they come out.
Yeah.
Shit's fucking wild. And Gears 5 is the best Gears game I've ever played.
I would agree with that so far.
Okay.
I haven't gotten very far into it, but it's pretty solid so far.
I have some issues with the narrative, but like getting into those really would actually be like spoilers. The only thing the thing that's very baffling to me is that so many of the reviewers are like, this game is a really great story. It's really great. And I'm just playing through this. And I'm like, no. The dialogue writing is great. The moment-to-moment dialogue stuff is wonderful. It's very, very punchy dialogue, very reasonable interactions and believable interactions between these characters. The actual writing of the world and the stuff that's no. No, this is deeply fucking troubling and bad. A lot of it. Like, I didn't play the game for the plot, thank fucking Christ. But I'm just like, I don't understand why people like the fucking plot, and it's dumb. But from a pure game feel perspective, from a general gameplay perspective, Gears 5 is almost certainly going to be on my top 10 list this year. So
yeah, and
that's about as ringing an endorsement as I could provide.
And it's already a short list of games that came out this year that could even only make your top 10 list to begin with.
Yeah, I've played. I'm pretty close to having a full list. I'm really, 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 really hoping that Code Vein will end up on the list.
Hey, you can get a free copy of Code Vein if you go to San Diego.
Yeah, let me think about that. Spend like $400 to go to fucking San Diego just to get a free $60 game, or just buy the $60 game.
But you're helping the Red Cross.
No, God, no. Get that out of here.
I can just fucking help the Red Cross here and spend $60 instead of $400.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, enough about this. So,
yeah, that was a lot, but the point is, Subnautica, good. Abzu, good. Gears 5, good, mostly. Prey, good, mostly. Would recommend all of them.
All right.
That's what I got.
All right, that's a ringing endorsement from Mark about all those games.
There you
So,
go.
moving on to our first topic of the day, we are going to be talking about State of Play. Sony just dropped this, and honestly, it's probably the most forgettable one they've done yet.
Oh yeah, like you guys posted that into our Discord, and I loaded it as soon as I saw it. Like I didn't watch the live stream because I have things to do, but I loaded it and I watched it, and you asked me about it, and I was like, yeah, I just watched it, and I've forgotten almost everything that happened in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's
Yeah,
two
pretty
things
much.
I remember: the visual aesthetic of Call of Duty Modern Warfare and the Last of Us 2 trailer. Everything else, like, just went through me like a fucking Taco Bell late night run.
Yeah.
Mostly.
So some of the games I only vaguely remember. Yeah, I saw the Call of Duty trailer, and honestly, I haven't played a Call of Duty game in about several years. So at this point, you know what? I don't even pay attention to the franchise, even if they show a trailer and it looks badass. I'm done.
Oh, I don't even care about like the fact that it's a Call of Duty trailer. I was just for a moment. I was legitimately convinced that there were like actual actors and actresses on the screen.
Oh, graphically,
like,
that game looks amazing with the
that was
capture.
my thing. It was like, oh god, this looks amazing. I didn't realize that it was CGI for a hot minute. But yeah, then I was just like, I'm not gonna fucking play Modern Warfare again. Modern Warfare is the best of the best as far as that franchise goes, but I'm not. No.
Yeah, but some of the other games that stood out to me that I can remember. I mean, we can talk about The Last of Us 2 in a little bit, but the only two games that stand out to me really is this weird game, and I still don't know what it's about. It's Watum, which is some
That is
social
a
experiment of a game.
Very Katamari Damacy sort of.
Yeah,
Well,
it's made by the guys.
It's made by the guy who made Katamari.
Right. Which is, that's my choice of saying that was not an accident, but
No, for sure.
Yeah, but the game looks like it's supposed to be some kind of like social experiment of interaction or whatever. I don't know. It just looks bizarre.
It's like a weird mishmash of what Katamari was doing when it came to collection, and what Nobi Nobi Boy was doing for like creating a longer trail to sort of combine things together to finish a level. So it's kind of like a weird Katamari Boy thing mishmash. I don't know what it's the guy who made the game making another game in the same crazy LSD infused world that he already lives in, and we get to play it because he's launching the game. So that's a thing we get to deal with: weird people that are squares and donuts that eat poop. I got nothing.
Yeah. And the only other game that stood out to me is a game called Humanity, and there was a ton of bodies on that screen, and they were doing various things like attacking each other or just going through these weird looking like patterned rooms with blocks pushing them over the edges and stuff like that, and then trying to secure their way to the afterlife by ascending stairs. Honestly, I think I kind of got a Giant Lemmings vibe from watching that. I don't.
It's like sort of like a crossover between like Catherine and IQ.
Yeah, I got the Catherine vibe from what I saw of that, and I mean, it looked fine, I guess.
It looks weird. I'm not exactly sure what they were trying to show off, other than the fact that, hey, look, we got a few thousand bodies on the screen all at once, moving smoothly.
PS4.
Yay. PS4 Pro, maybe? I don't know.
So, started off with Humanity. It looked interesting enough to take a look at demos or see what it's actually all about. They showed off the Call of Duty Modern Warfare story trailer, which looked really good comparatively. I'm more excited for some of the actual modes that are coming out with it. The new Ground War is basically Battlefield. So, in fact, that we've seen so far, the map looks almost to be an actual, like, direct rip from Battlefield 3. Somebody confirm that? I don't know, but it looks very similar to a Battlefield 3 map. So the 32 versus 32 Ground War looks interesting, and it's probably a mode that I'll play a lot of. But there's a couple of other modes that, like, there's the dedicated 2v2 mode, then they've got the 5v5 and the 10v10, so you've got your, standard traditional and team deathmatch modes. It's Modern Warfare. We already know what it is, what we're going into it, what we're getting out of it, and it looks okay, like as far as what it needs to be. And I'm actually kind of excited for the ground war mode. Not having to worry about a battle royale mode right away is like. But then they made this, and so as it is right now, knowing that you can cross-play this game across any platform, PC, PS4, Xbox, and have everybody play on the same servers is pretty fucking fantastic, and is a great step in the right direction for any game designer to actually allow for multiplayer games played across all platforms. And then they announced that a Spec Ops survival mode is coming out as well, and it's only going to be available on the PS4, and it's not going to be available on PC and Xbox until 2020. And not just 2020, October of 2020.
So a full year.
A full year before anybody else gets to play the survival mode, which is the mode that people wanted back first. PS4 got it, everyone else didn't. So it's like one step forward, two steps back by Activision yet again, because they decided that the PlayStation is still their platform of choice versus the idea of this game was built to be played cross-platform from the ground up. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that.
Let's be fair here. They didn't decide that the PlayStation was their platform of choice.
No.
Sony decided that the PlayStation was Activision's platform of choice.
Fair.
With lots of green things with pictures of presidents on them.
Well, fair.
I mean, you also have to remember Sony is still not a fan of cross-play. They want people to play the games exclusively on their system. So, yeah, of course they're going to approach Activision and be like, hey, give us an exclusive mode that this cross-playing game can only be played on our system.
Oh, yeah, and Activision's going to be like, give us some money, motherfucker.
Right.
Like, you know what we want, bags full of every president that ever died.
Yeah.
Pretty much. They announced some new PSVR titles, including LA Noire VR Stories, which is actually available today. They showed off a few other games.
Is that what that was? Like,
yes.
I honestly was kind of zoning out, but I was like, this kind of looks like LA Noire. Ugh.
It was in fact LA Noire VR Stories. Three or four new stories being told exclusively for PSVR. They also showed off a few other sort of indie titles and a new Space Channel 5 VR game. So that looked really decent. So I mean, but then again,
Space Channel didn't really show any gameplay of that. Just cutscenes.
Yeah, they did. No,
I didn't notice any.
That almost all of that was gameplay. There was only 2 sections where it was actual cutscene. So it's interesting. Like it's Space Channel 5, like we knew and loved from the Dreamcast, only VR. So I'm sure there's more to it than that, but what are you gonna do? They announced Civ 6 is going to PS4. Ooh, Civ 6.
Yippee.
They announced a limited edition Death Stranding PS4 bundle that gives you a white PS4 with 2 black tar hands on it
and a piss color controller.
A clear yellow baby BB bottle colored controller with Death Stranding on the touchpad.
That is not yellow. That's piss. That's piss.
Embryonic fluid. Let's just leave it at that.
Fine.
They showed off some more medieval footage and announced that there's a demo coming out, and if you play the demo, you get his helmet for the retail game.
No, thank you.
They announced an indie title that looked actually kind of cute about a pair of college students who died, but they got a taxi ride to hell from somebody who's a blabbermouth, only to find out that if they beat Satan in a drinking game, they can be let back to reality and live again.
Yeah, this game was already revealed for the Nintendo Switch during their indie developer exclusive program, and it looks interesting. It doesn't capture my interest entirely. I just think it's hilarious that you have to try and drink the devil under the table.
Well, and some of the generals of hell, but you know.
Yeah. So it's like it's nothing but a drinking minigame for maybe 10 hours.
Basically. They announced what the October games for PlayStation Plus were, which includes The Show 2019 and The Last of Us Remastered. And then they finalized it out with the Last of Us 2 trailer.
Now, the Last of Us 2 trailer, I mean, I think we got a little bit more going on than we did with that E3 trailer from, like, last year.
So the 2-year-old E3 trailer that we've had was basically sort of a lead up to a kiss between Elle and another girl, and some stealth footage, some combat footage, and a guy playing a banjo for 5 minutes. What we got this time was actually much more action orientated. It was a little bit more chunky in terms of the storyline. It picks up after the kiss the next morning between Elle and the girl, a lead into her finally deciding that she's going back out to finish it, which means that obviously she's trying to go out to find the people who originally hunted her from The Last of Us. They talked about a couple of other things. They showed off some more combat, lots of combat.
Oh yeah,
and then we
got more
come
story
back. Well, yeah, and then we come back, and at the very end, they show Joel is back.
Hi, Joel.
So, interesting trailer. I've played through the first Last of Us. I enjoyed the story for what it was. It wasn't real, just in her head.
Don't kill our hopes and dreams.
Sure, let's do it. That'd be fine.
I don't know. I assumed from what I gathered from the introduction of that trailer that they're going to fridge her girlfriend, which is like great that you introduced this character to be murdered.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty much what I think this game is going to be about. It's going to be a giant revenge plot for Ellie. Yeah, like girlfriend gets killed. They probably went on an adventure. Girlfriend gets killed. She gets dragged back, healed, decides to go finish the job, kill them all.
Possibly. I don't see why not. I'm happy that we get a female protagonist that isn't Lara Croft.
But we have had so many.
There's been a few good ones recently, but it's nice to still sort of see kind of what they're doing with Ellie's character. So,
like, I don't care for The Last of Us as a franchise. The first game did nothing for me, and
I considered it my game of the year that year.
I mean, that's fine. That's fine. Like, I know I know that my opinion is not the popular one, and that's cool. Like, if you like it, more power to you. It's not for me personally for a lot of reasons, but if you enjoy the game, you enjoy the game, whatever. I'm not gonna be very interested in this one. I'll probably play it at some point, but it's not gonna be one of my day of games. I'm glad that they have the Ellie character as the protagonist here. That's great. But for me, it's just kind of like, do we really have to fridge her fucking girlfriend?
Like, I hope not, honestly. I mean, you're probably right, and it's probably going to happen. But
yeah, I'm hoping that I'm wrong, that I'm misreading it.
Or they don't fridge the girlfriend. The girlfriend is a lure to try and get her back to the people who are trying to operate on her.
Oh, that's even worse. Like that's
it's a deception
like
plot.
No, that's like two tropes that nobody wants. That's just gross.
Oh, come on. This is the video game industry. You don't think they're going to try and reuse tropes over and over again?
I mean, we already know they're going to, but the basis for what they're going to do with something like that would just be ludicrous. It would be... It honestly, if they try to do something like that, I feel like it would just really turn the game into a weird direction that nobody wants.
The game already went in a weird direction that nobody wanted in the first one.
I mean... The first one was the direction that no one wanted it, but that's fine. Like, I like the story for what it is, but I'm not a big fan of the way the game played, and the control scheme was kind of like overly clunky, even for the PS3
I thought the
and
control
the PS4.
scheme was fine. I think most people, in my opinion, from what I've talked about with other people, they were expecting it to be more of a stealth zombie game. It turned out to be more of a stealth. And humanity is more of the enemy than anything else in the first game, and it looks like they're going to continue that with the second game. And just the not flood is the just a side bitch, looking to kill you.
Okay, so if we're really going into it that way, then this is basically the Walking Dead game that all the Walking Dead fans wanted but never got.
I'll agree with that.
Like, just period. That's what this basically is. This is a Walking Dead franchise game that isn't actually in The Walking Dead.
I disagree. Joel's the worst, but that's everyone's opinion. I see a lot of people actually are pissed off about how Joel made that decision at the end of the game, but that's fine. I lived with it. I accepted it. But moving on. So, I mean, overall though, state of play. I have to say I have issues with Sony's state of play. Just all it is just a collection of trailers that really don't hit home or catch my eye. Whereas the Nintendo Directs, they have a unique presentation with how they go about it. That they treat it as more of a real good showcase instead of just like, okay, here's a bunch of TV commercials that we're just stringing together.
You're not wrong, and I feel like Sony has a good idea in kind of being sort of copycat when it comes to the Nintendo Direct, but at the same time, the reason why Sony isn't showing up at these big things, they didn't show up at E3. They didn't show up at all at TGS either. They had no keynote at TGS, just like they had no keynote at E3 this year. And they have gone to this weird state of play mentality that are 10 to 15 minute snippets, videos put together with a bunch of trailers and things that either we already knew about or are just getting additional information about. The only reason Final Fantasy VII Remake wasn't in the state of play is because all of the information that we needed to have came out of TGS by Square Enix. All of the stuff that we had to worry about, where it came from, like, honestly, the only two things that we hadn't actually seen in the entirety of that, other than the indie titles that they actually showed, were the story trailer for Modern Warfare, because we hadn't had a full version of that yet, and the release date for Last of Us 2. That was really the only things that were on there that were worth any kind of beans, like, at all. And it's sad because it's like Sony is still kind of holding the fort as far as one of the top systems in the world right now, short of the Switch, obviously. But Nintendo is at a point right now where people are starting to consider not really sticking around on the PlayStation platform and buying Switches, because the Switch is really where a lot of the games and a lot of the content is now. And it's weird to see Sony, who have had such dominance since the late PS1, early PS2 era up until now, sort of peter out like this. So I don't know. I think that the state of play was a good idea, but I think it needs to be supplemented or longer than 10 to 15 minutes. I think if they had more content to actually show, especially with the amount of time between each state of play, if it was a 20 or 30-minute video that we got with additional content in it, or gameplay beyond what we already have or have not seen, depending on those kinds of things like they do with the Nintendo Directs, then I can see the state of play being something that would be worthwhile for people to actually be, a part of and actually be excited for. The only thing that people are actually excited for from the state of play is Last of Us 2, and that's stuff that we've already mostly seen. It's just more gameplay and, a release date. And it's not withheld that people are basically, just like Project says in chat, like, they're probably holding back the PS5, but we still have no idea when that's actually going to be, because all they're doing is state of play. They've neglected to show up to the last 2 of the last 3 major conferences because they don't want to reveal anything. And they're just silent about a lot of stuff, which is very eerie for them, because there's 2 speculations. One is that the PS5 is going to be their next major announcement at whatever major conference happens next, or they're waiting to see what Microsoft does with Project Scarlet before they actually do anything. And we have no idea what Microsoft is doing with that. I don't think so. I think it's more like they have everything locked down. They know what they're going to do. They're just waiting to see what Scarlet is going to try to do in terms of storage. I think that's really the key, is storage. Because everyone is saying that Project Scarlet is probably going to be cloud-based, or... well, cloud-based for like
save
storage.
Files and
like save files and stuff, but it's not going to have a disk drive, and the physical media inside the device is probably going to be small, so your games library may not be all local. It may be cloud. Having the idea
that's a deeply fucking stupid idea, but all right.
Well, I mean, Stadia's a thing, so yeah, I get it. But the
discussion for another day.
Right. But the concept is here is Sony is deciding that they're going with these shorter video clips, 10, 15-minute long intros, basically, to whatever it is that they want to announce, showcase, or update people on. They're far enough apart that you could easily pack an additional 15 to 20 minutes of content into them, and they're just not doing it. And I think that's a detriment, personally. Whether or not it means that there's really something else going on behind the scenes, who knows? Because, again, that's all just purely speculation. But as we sit right now, knowing that we're still pending a PS5 announcement, what Sony is doing is stupid. Like, it's just not... It doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of where they are in the real estate of what's actually being played versus what people are actually excited to play. And I think that's really where Nintendo and the Nintendo Directs have shined far above and beyond what the state of play has been doing in the last 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, they have a lot of work to cut out for them if they want to improve these state of plays. I mean, what Nintendo has going for them usually is like they have developers that come in on the videos. They have voiceover narratives. They actually, like you said, they do extended descriptions of the gameplay elements of said games that they're revealing. They do all kinds of like special announcements. Like every time somebody watches the Nintendo Direct, you know what they're expecting. Oh, what's the next fighter pack for Smash Brothers? They always give you something like almost near the end of like the video package that is like hype building. Last of Us 2 was kind of like I was expecting at least some kind of game they would show off at the end. And yeah, Last of Us 2 was that game. But the way the trailer ended, it was just like, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good game, but I'm not hyped for it as much as I was when they, showed it off last year. It's like they're putting way too much time between, their reveals, their gameplay update videos, and they're not really giving us much more other than just cookie cutter trailers, bare minimum gameplay, bare minimum story elements. Nothing to hint at special features or anything else like that. So
yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like the whole Days Gone issue, where they kept showing things about Days Gone, and they kept showing like the same 4 things over and over again. This kind of felt like the same thing. They were showing the same kind of stuff over and over again, and then they dropped a huge reveal on us that I'm pretty sure would have been better served for just leaving it in the game and letting people find out, instead of, by the way, the Emperor's back in the new Star Wars movie kind of, mentality to that trailer ending. So it's like, was that the right decision? Are people still going to be excited to play the game? Probably. Are people happy that they decided to show it in a trailer versus letting people find out while they actually played the game? Marketing. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you can't do a Metal Gear Solid 2 type situation anymore.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Nope. You can't have the major part of something like that be a surprise, because people are impatient.
Mm-hmm.
The folks making the money from these games are impatient. It's just, that's almost certainly never going to happen again unless it's some type of a game developed exclusively by, again, somebody like Kojima, to the exclusion of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, I guess overall in general, Sony has, their work cut out for them. Moving on to our next topic of conversation, however. So, a big announcement from the OBS camp, which is a streaming program that is open source and free for, a bunch of would-be streamers out there, or people who have been doing it professionally for a long time now. They made a big announcement saying that they have a huge sponsorship, and it is Twitch. Now, if you've been paying attention to, streaming in general for the past couple of years, you'll notice that a lot of things have been going on. There's been Streamlabs that have been coming out, and they have massive integration with OBS. They also have a massive integration with Twitch as well, allowing you to do all kinds of stuff. I mean, if you're a professional streamer, you are utilizing Streamlabs and OBS constantly.
Mhm.
I don't do that. I use a little bit of Streamlabs. I mean, you'll notice that every now and then I have a little bit of a text bubble pop up in the corner. Whoop-de freaking do. But this is big in a sense because OBS is practically just now shoehorned in as like the official program for streaming for the Twitch platform. I mean, more or less. I mean, it's not exactly that type of wording, but it's like a big endorsement.
That's the right word.
Big endorsement, and I think at the same time it also gives them access to a lot of resources in order for the project to continue to move forward, to continue to improve, and that's great. I am not exactly a fan of OBS. I haven't been. I've constantly tried using the program off and on. I saw that eye roll, Jan. But, I mean, this is just my own experience. I know everybody else's experience differs. I know some people who aren't fans of Twitch or of XSplit. But to see that OBS, will be able to, continually be worked on uninterrupted now, and will constantly have huge updates, upgrades. I will probably give them a try again. Every year, every other year, I will, try working with the program. I always come up with some programs or some issues with the program. It's my favorite. Issues with it is how it likes to just suddenly not see any of my inputs. Like, it doesn't see my capture card, or it doesn't see my mic. And I have fun trying to play with that for, a couple days, and then I just give up. But that's just how I feel about it. Jan, how do you feel about this endorsement?
It's huge. First of all, this is a shadow drop because not a lot of people really knew that this was going on behind the scenes. The fact that the guy who basically ran this starting back in 2012 kind of is just a ramshackle open source way of being able to stream and not having to spend a crap ton of money on things like XSplit to actually do this for whatever it is that you want to do. It started off kind of small. It had its issues. I've had the same issues where it dropped inputs or lost inputs on a restart. But once they got to a certain point where they were starting to integrate more of the DLLs from capture cards, and the partnerships between companies started actually growing, and people open sourced their drivers to OBS, and we're getting more and more integrated in what OBS really was, it really grew very quickly. Now you've got multiple different side companies who are working as third parties to integrate their overlay packages and their transition packages and their bumpers directly into it. You've got Stream Elements, you've got Streamlabs, both of the two most popular versions of OBS as an open platform to use to be able to stream just as powerfully as you can with XSplit right now. I am personally in a camp where I actually like both programs. There are pieces and parts of both that I kind of wish worked together, but don't, because they're exclusive to those platforms. OBS has transitioning that can be done via a simple app integration, where you can't really do that in XSplit without creating multiple scenes and triggers for those scenes, which is very complicated. And if you're not a big programmer, it gets very difficult to have to deal with. But with Streamlabs, it's a push of a button. It integrates directly into your scenes. You hit a transition button hotkey, and instantly everything goes off. The thing that I think that's really nice in XSplit that's not integrated into OBS yet is I call it it's basically like false chroma key, where you basically can get a digital version of a green screen on your camera. Instead of actually having to get a physical green screen, you can create a green screen that's digitally enhanced on your webcam, and you can do that with XSplit. You can't do that in OBS yet.
Yeah, there's an external program for that on XSplit, as a matter of fact. But it acts as like a secondary camera.
Right.
I actually experimented with that. It does an all right job. You have to have optimal lighting, and you have to make sure you're not wearing green tinted clothes because it makes the background black sometimes. Or it right here you'll see my chair. It makes that like the edges of that get super fuzzy.
Yeah,
but,
so I mean, the
I even
program
had
is
an
a baseline.
Yeah.
Well, they have a lot of cool stuff that XSplit has that I like, that I wish you could do in OBS. There's a lot of stuff in OBS that, I wish I could do between the two. Like, I wish OBS had certain things, I wish XSplit had certain things. But we can't really mesh the two together because they are, in fact, competition. That's just the nature of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Some professional streamers prefer XSplit because it works very well for what they're using it for and have partnerships with XSplit. Other people use OBS because it's free, it's open source, and it's much more manipulative, much more able to be manipulated in ways that people want to be able to use it for whatever it is that they're doing. A lot of smaller streamers who don't have the funds to spit for XSplit use OBS on a daily basis, and they get very far with that, and they stick with that. So to hear that Twitch has basically stated that they are becoming a premier partner of OBS is a big, 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 big deal. You had said it earlier that you feel like it's kind of like a slap in your face, and I can understand why you feel that way, but at the same time, I also feel like having the ability to use an open source program, which is like free, is like the icing. Like, because it's free is
Oh, I'm not going to knock the fact that it's
like,
free at all.
That's like the base point. Like, everyone's like, there's plenty of people right now that's like, oh, the only reason they're doing it is because it's free. Now, that has nothing to do with it. What they're doing is that they're saying that this is the program that they feel has the most growth potential because it's not being, I don't want to say hindered. It's not being relied on a pay-to-play basis. Sometimes pay-to-play is a great way to go. Obviously, you still have MMOs that go with that by that model, and they're still some of the most popular games on the, in gaming right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got other games that are free that are pulling in pretty sizable numbers, that are playing and just as good. It's just you're not going to have the best potential because you have to be able to do other stuff by yourself in order for it to actually function the way you want it to function. But that doesn't mean that there aren't already other people that are out there doing the same thing where they're already working on that kind of stuff for you. So that's where Stream Elements and Streamlabs versions of OBS come into play and have a lot of these things already integrated. They've got bots and chat bots and catchers and transitions and all this other crazy stuff that's already integrated, that's easily accessible by a touch of a button, and it takes a ton of the work out of learning how to actually stream from people who just want to play games on stream. They don't really want to become big name stars. They're just here to do this. And I feel like that's really kind of at the heart of why he's excited about this, is that he feels like that now that we've got this premier Twitch partnership with OBS, that more people will be able to access what's necessary in terms of the tools and the servers and the product to be able to not just stream in general, but grow with the program and the platform. It's still Twitch. We still have problems with Twitch in certain aspects because it's Twitch. But
we'll get to those problems in a little bit. There's more than just what she hinted at.
Oh, I'm sure. There's positives to it too, and I really believe that, because having something like this happen, especially now at sort of like this weird crossroads, I guess is the word, of where things were and where they're heading. Things are changing, and some of it might be good, some of it maybe not so much.
Yep. All right. Well, it's kind of weird that we can, just see an actual. I mean, I love XSplit for what it does for me. But I have to say it's practically coming out that OBS is now becoming the definitive streaming platform of choice, program of choice, and it wasn't like that back when everybody was coming out with programs left and right for streaming. So I thought we could talk about a little bit of the history of some of these programs. I know you guys don't know all these programs. I actually had to look up a list of a bunch that I've actually tried. Before I stuck with XSplit, one of the first ones I used, and I used it for a long period of time, was a program called Wirecast. And I'm not going to lie, I pirated that thing because I saw no need to pay $300 for a program that didn't function nearly as well as XSplit did, even in its alpha stage. And it also had a monthly fee on top of that. So, no. But it allowed me to stream, some of my first video game tournaments. Some of the other things I've used. This one is a very bone basic program called by Adobe called FMLE. It's literally just a program that sees input device. You can pretty much choose the video conversion, the compression, the bit rate, the resolution. Then you just hit live, and it just broadcasts it. There's nothing special about it going on. You just see a screen. You just see some options on the bottom. That was it. It was very bare bones. For a while, I played around with Ustream Producer. Back when I also had a Ustream channel. It was garbage.
I mean,
it was hot garbage. I mean, I liked that it was a very simplistic program at the time, but it was garbage because I remember I was having issues with it detecting my USB external capture cards at the time. Like I had a very basic AV capture card, and it had problems seeing it sometimes. It was just a pain in the ass. Of course, we all know about OBS and XSplit, the top two right now. Wirecast for a long time though was like one of the go-tos. There's so many others out there. Like there was this one I can't remember, but it was free. God, I wish I could remember the name of it, but I'm sure the company doesn't exist anymore. But how about your experiences, Mark, with streaming? I know you haven't been streaming anywhere nearly as long as I have, but you do have experience with OBS, and I'm sure you've tried other programs.
I've been streaming for like a fucking decade.
Have you been streaming for a decade?
It's been a while. I mean,
I've been streaming
a couple of years after I got involved with GameFan.
Oh, really?
I originally was doing, I want to say it was on livestream.com.
Okay, yeah, you were with livestream. I was starting way back when it was just justin.tv.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
I was on livestream.com. I want to say that was it. I was streaming there for a few years until it basically became infeasible to continue. Like I think they had announced they were going to close down or something to that effect. But I was like, all right, I'll give Twitch a try because that was at the point like it had converted from Justin TV to Twitch.
TV to Twitch, right?
And I was like, okay, I'll try this and I'll see how that goes. And for a while, I could not. Yeah, Aaron remembers. He was there for the early ones.
Oh, Aaron finally made it to one of our podcasts. How about that?
He's been here like the whole show.
I know. It's just like it didn't click for a second. I was like, wait, Pajak? I've never seen him chat in the podcast before. It's like, oh, it's Aaron.
Yeah, he works nights a lot of the time.
I know. It's so happy to have you here, Aaron.
But yeah, I remember my very first live stream ever was Leisure Suit Larry Box Office Bust.
Oh, jeez.
So I was just like, hey, everybody, let's watch me play this. My second one was Hannah Montana, the movie, the game, which was great because like that actually started like a brief meme for like about a year of my live stream, which was to put on the Brazil dress because there was a dress that was like basically the Brazilian flag in that game, and that just became a thing afterward. But yeah, I mean that service was like service had its own built-in.
My mouse went into the very bottom corner of Windows. Whoops. But what programs have you gone through for your streaming service, Mark?
Well, there was the program that worked for the live stream website, which actually was pretty intuitive, and it was, to my mind, it was more intuitive than any other program that I've used. Like, you could literally just draw a fucking box on your screen, and it would just capture that part of the box that you had drawn. Like, I have not been able to find an app that does that, and that is just like the most amazing thing. You just want to capture part of your screen, fucking do that shit. Zoop, you're done. And it made my life so much easier as a streamer. Getting used to the way other applications have done things, as it happened, I've done it clearly, but I still miss just being able to just draw a fucking box somewhere and just stream that part of my monitor. But
I remember the original versions of OBS before it kind of like grew to what it is now. It used to have that functionality actually, where it actually just let you do a drag and drop of a window selection. You just select the area you want from your display, and that's the only part it would capture.
Yeah, I don't understand why that's not a thing that they still allow for. That's kind of frustrating, honestly, because I really love that functionality. That functionality is great.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Then I went to Twitch for a couple of years, and I used XSplit pretty much exclusively during that period. I want to say I was the one that turned you on to using XSplit, Robert, because I had been using it for a while and you had been using something else.
I was
And
using
then I told
Wirecast,
you
I
it was,
think, at the time.
yeah, and I told you about XSplit, and you were like, okay, I'll have to try that out or whatever. And then there we go. I went to
Thank you.
Hitbox for. Oh, you're welcome. I went to Hitbox because you and I both started having major problems with Twitch, and then we went back to Twitch because Hitbox basically died.
Well, and Twitch fixed a lot of their issues.
Yeah, yeah. Now the issues. Now the issues are now the issues are less impacting us and more impacting like, the bigger streamers, which is what it is.
Yeah.
But whatever. So I've used XSplit, which is good. I like it fine. I've used OBS, which is a good app. As Nate in the chat said, it's a great app. He originally taught me how to use that, and it worked fine for what it was. I don't find it to be as intuitive as a lot of the other apps out there, which I think it's very much going to be a thing where the endorsement by Twitch will probably help get it to a point development-wise where people start making the effort to make it a bit more intuitive to use.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I used I want to say it was the Evolve platform for a bit, because I was trying to find something that did what I wanted it to do, and I used that for like 2 or 3 weeks, and it just did not work for me at all, and it's gone now. So, but I've ultimately settled on Slob Streamlabs OBS, which I like Slobs a lot. It's very user friendly, very intuitive, and I love the ability to just import direct transitions in that other people have made for free. Like, just like little packs that you can just bolt onto your stream, and it's, suddenly my stream is, Persona 5 themed. Neat. And it allows for the functionality of, if you want to pay somebody to make custom fade-ins and fade-outs and whatnot, you can do that. And it's very intuitive, very easy to understand. I feel like it is probably the most logical evolution from OBS that you can get to. I still have a fondness for XSplit, but Slobs does more of what I wanted to do at this point, so that's the direction I went for. But I think that Twitch endorsing OBS as like the thing that they recommend is probably going to help evolve that particular platform. I don't think it's going to hurt XSplit necessarily, because I think XSplit has kind of is going to be on the page where they're going to be like, well, here's all the stuff that you can use to fucking stream. Like there's going to be options that you can use no matter what. I think XSplit's going to have a following for a while in any case. So I don't see this hurting them. I think if anything, it'll probably just help OBS evolve into being something, again, a bit more user friendly, a bit more intuitive.
So I was just looking up some more streaming programs, like so there's a bunch of lists of best software to be using for streaming in 2019. And there's actually a couple more programs that I have used in the past, although they were more bare bones. One of them is called FF Split, which apparently looks like it's evolved quite a little bit. And this other one, Minicam. And I remember when Minicam was literally just a tiny window where you can probably put a little bit of a word like overlay to let people know what you're playing or whatever. And that was about it. But it looks like from what I see, it's evolved quite a bit. And of course, if anybody's interested, Wirecast is now $495 from the $299. But it looks like they've added a whole host of new features apparently. But enough about that. So, so we've been talking a lot about, Twitch in regards to OBS, but now we're going to talk about Twitch themselves. So, Twitch has been all over the place, news-wise,
Twitch
the past couple of weeks. Twitch be crazy, yo.
Mm.
Mark, hey Mark, can you give us the too long didn't read version of what Twitch has been up to in the last 2 weeks?
So, I don't know exactly everything because so many different events have happened, but like the main ones of a bunch of people have been complaining about in the various groups that I frequent is that there was a couple of instances where content creators did something particularly dopey and got suspended and then were brought back after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Most notably, Twitch streamer Amaranth, who basically, I hate to use the term, but it's about as close to applying to anybody as it is with her. She's kind of what you would describe as a Twitch thought. And I don't like using that term because of the negative connotations that are directly associated with it. I don't really care what you do to make your money. If you're doing what you're doing, that's fine. But her specific brand of content is predominantly based around selling her sexuality. Which is fine. Again, I don't fucking care. But like it's one thing when like I hate when people brand any woman who goes on Twitch as a Twitch thought. Like that's that's really rude to anybody who's actively attempting to make a go of promoting a brand, doing art, playing video games, doing cosplay assembly, whatever it is you're doing. Amaranth specifically is just selling her sexuality. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just she like that's just what she does.
I mean, yeah, that's what she does. You go to her Patreon page, and if you go $50 or more, she's going to send you nudes.
No.
Yeah, no, she does. She has.
No, I know she fucking doesn't. I signed up for her Patreon, motherfucker.
Okay, I'm
just really fucking tired of. This is not against you. I'm sorry. It's just.
I'm not being accusational.
I had a fucking conversation on Saturday with my friend Kane, and he's like, "Oh, she's got an OnlyFans page and she sells porn." No, she fucking doesn't. Okay, I fucking went and did the goddamn research just to confirm this. People are fucking like, this is why I fucking hate shit like the Twitch thought thing. Is that people don't just think it's enough to just be like, Amaranth is a person who dresses up in skimpy outfits and wears pasties and does ASMR stuff on Twitch. Like, that's not enough for these people. They're like, oh, she posts nudes on her Patreon, and oh, she has an OnlyFans page where she like people can go to see her porn. No, she fucking doesn't, and no, she fucking doesn't. And I know this because I fucking did the goddamn research.
Oh yeah,
and it's really fucking frustrating to me that people feel the need to fucking bury this person. Like, you don't have to fucking like her, okay? I don't fucking care about Caitlyn, whatever her fucking last name is, as a person. I don't fucking care that she exists. I don't fucking care that she makes what she makes. If you are in the position where you have the assets to present yourself in this way, great. Fucking good on you. It doesn't fucking matter. If she did do that, like if that was something that she elected to do, more power to her. But she didn't. And that's the thing that frustrates me, is that you have to fucking constantly fight through all of the fucking secondary shit that people are coming up with, like that they're saying just to basically libel or slander this person. Because their dislike of her is just not enough. And like, here's the thing, all right? She got popped on stream because she was playing with her dog and she was wearing like pajama pants or a skirt or something. I don't watch her channel, so I'm not aware of the full context. And like her vagina fell out. And that's fucking stupid. Maybe it was a calculated thing that she did. Maybe it was just meant to like get attention onto her or whatever.
Right.
As Nate said, it wasn't even that bad. He saw the video, I saw the video. It was not really a big thing. And she got suspended for 3 days. And a lot of people are angry about the fact that she didn't gets suspended for longer. And like for me, I don't want to have to know any more about Amaranth as a content creator than I already do. Okay? So when somebody tells me, well, she's been suspended for other stuff, I just kind of have to shrug and go, okay, I guess, because I don't fucking care. I don't I don't want to make my fucking life knowing about. I already know about way more people that I don't want to know anything about than I did at the beginning of this year. I went from not knowing who the fuck Pro Jared was to seeing Pro Jared's penis in the span of 24 hours, okay?
Yep.
I don't need
Oh
to
yeah.
fucking
Oh
know
yeah.
anything else about fucking Amaranth than I already do. So here's my thing on it. Far as I'm aware, she has not been suspended for impropriety. You can say that she
No.
did, but unless you can actually find me fucking articles that say that she did, I'm just gonna say that you're a fucking liar, or
Yep.
that you're just going along with what everybody else has been saying. Because once again, I've had people tell me to my fucking face that she makes porn. She doesn't. That she sells nudes on her Patreon. She doesn't. All of this shit. I've had to do way more research than I have ever wanted to on this person, and I just don't want to. I don't want to know about her. I don't want to know about her because she does not affect my life.
No.
Point is,
So
her getting unsuspended is fine. She fucked up once. Even if it was something that was a calculated risk to get her name into the news cycle and saying like, oh, you know, her vagina fell out, whatever. It happened one time.
Okay,
So what?
aside from Amaranth, though, she's not the only person who's.
Then there was the follow up stuff, and that's I don't understand what the fuck Twitch is doing. There's the Chun Li thing, which basically a young artist, I don't remember her name, cosplayed as Chun Li during one of her art streams and got suspended for I want to say the same period of time, 3 days.
yeah, it was
And like they didn't really give her a reason, as near as I can tell. But the general consensus seemed to be like too much leg. Which
yeah, that was basically it. It was so the baseline was that they said that because of the way the costume was created, that it showed too much leg, so much so that it showed underwear and therefore was a bannable offense.
yeah, and like I didn't watch the entire stream. I'm absolutely positive. I'm absolutely positive that she got brigaded by shitheads.
Oh, I'm sure.
And like this is the thing. I don't know what Twitch is doing exactly, but it's very frustrating to me that we're kind of in this position where like you eventually have to have the conversation of Twitch, what in the fuck are you doing? You know, because I said this on my board gaming stream on Saturday. I don't personally care if there's like fucking pornography or whatever on Twitch. I understand why they restrict it. I understand why you wouldn't want it to be on there. And I don't blame people for, you know, making sure that it's an all ages content platform. That's totally fine. I just personally feel like we as a society put way too much effort into protecting people from seeing a titty. And like really, you know, like I feel like our society would be better served teaching people to maybe be a little bit less puritanical, especially because a lot of the people who are, you know, jumping up and down on these women are the same people who are bitching and moaning when games get censored when they're brought to the US. But that's neither here nor there. The thing is, it's deeply and there goes Robert somehow. That was weird.
True, but all right.
It's just it's very frustrating to me that we are sort of in this position where I should switch to OBS. Jesus Christ.
Wow. Moving on.
But yeah, it's just very frustrating to me that we're in this position where Twitch kind of sort of is in the Twitter position
Mm-hmm.
as a content company, where no matter what Twitch does, people are going to be angry about it. And like Twitter's in the same boat, right? You've got
Mm-hmm.
this situation where you have rules which are specifically designed to be enforced at a set level, that are specifically designed to be very broad and very vague so that the parent company can enforce them whenever they want.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we have seen, if you give people rigid rules, shitheads will do everything up to the point of violating the rules without actually crossing over them, forcing the parent company to either do nothing while they abuse people, or actually, stopping the shitheads from doing things and having the shitheads jump in and go, but we didn't break the rules,
Mm-hmm.
So companies like Twitch and like Twitter go into a situation where they make really loose, broadly defined rules that are enforceable when and where the company deems appropriate.
Right.
And unfortunately, what ends up happening is you get into these situations where they are more permissive than people want them to be in some cases, and then more restrictive than they want them to be in others. And you can't win, you know. So in Twitch's case, you get into a situation where a guy fucked up and filmed in a bathroom and gets his stream back after like a month, or a girl fucked up and accidentally filmed her vagina and got banned for 3 days. But then on the other side, you get a person dressed up in a cosplay and they turned into internet Puritans and banned her because there was like underwear for 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's they can't fucking win.
Right.
And I feel like they're sort of in that same boat as Twitter, in that I don't want to have to defend these companies, but at the same point in time, I really wish there was a certain point where they would just kind of not fucking fall into these traps that
Mm-hmm.
shitheads will specifically leverage them for, because it
Right.
sucks. And it's unfair to penalize people just because, for lack of a better way of expressing it, just because they're women on a social platform.
Right.
Because this isn't happening to dudes, except for the one guy who decided to like do a parody of it with like fake balls falling out of his fucking pants to make fun of Amaranth, which play stupid games, win stupid prizes, dude. Like
Exactly.
that absolutely deserved to happen. Sorry.
And I mean, this isn't the only platform that this is happening on. Like you're saying, the same thing with Twitter, the same thing happens on YouTube, the same thing happens on Facebook, the same thing happens on multiple platforms where
Yeah, I mean, just
large
because we
tech
haven't heard about it
presences
happening on
are.
Mixer doesn't mean it won't.
Oh, exactly. But the thing is that like you really have to look at like you said, it's very, you have to paint broader strokes. But in order to paint the broad strokes, you have to make sure that you're using the right, paint. And unfortunately, that ends up being that they hammer down on the weirdest shit sometimes. Like, I saw the cosplay that she was in, and it was ridiculously conservative comparatively to other people who do body paint on a regular basis. And that flies. You get people on YouTube who put up rants about really stupid shit, and then you have other people that do things to animals and get slaps on the wrist. So it's everything is where it's at now, is in a weird place of, do we want to censor it, or do we not want to be the people who are censoring that content? So it's this weird, like I said earlier, it's this strange dichotomy of, does it have to be this way, or can it be another way, and let's see how many loopholes we can get through before it goes from there. So it's hard to really understand sort of where they need to stand on a lot of these issues, because we're in some pretty uncharted territory when it comes to this kind of content.
Mm-hmm.
We just are. And it's strange and it's new, and people are still trying to figure out where these boundaries actually are. Like, it's a weird sort of way of putting it, but it's like this weird comparison between it, and I don't know if you've seen both of the movies, but it's like a weird comparison between The Truman Show and EdTV.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're in that point where people want to see what's going on with people's daily lives. So much so that if we had the ability to watch somebody sleep, I'm looking at you, ASMR channels, and we're at this point where we want to see what happens at somebody's, workplace, which happens all the time on Twitch and YouTube and Mixer, that there's this weird space that we exist in now where the lines are so blurred that we don't know whether or not we're looking at something that's real or something that somebody scripted specifically to get views. And that's really hard to really put into words, because what if some of this stuff is scripted? What if some of this stuff is these people are coming up with this stuff they're not coming up with it on the fly. They've had this stuff going for a while now, and it's interesting enough to see or say that something is going on where we need to figure out why it is that some of it we're okay with and some of it we're not okay with. Some of it that we think is going to be fine, and some of it that ends up being fine but gets the hammer anyway.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's very frustrating to me, because at the end of the day, it's very much a case where I don't necessarily know if we need to start seeing people get, kicked down for shit or whatever. I don't think people need to get permabanned for any of this stuff.
Mm-mm.
And I'm honestly frustrated that we're even having these conversations in general.
Oh, for sure.
But
like, I feel like we're at a point now where content itself as a baseline exists in so many different platforms that some of it becomes prevalent in other places where maybe it shouldn't be, but people don't want to be associated with that demographic. So they continue to do it on the platform of their choice. Sometimes it's Twitch, sometimes it's not Twitch, and sometimes it's adults, but it's the same content. But they're associating that content with a very, as you said before, a very broad brush. Sometimes they're doing more than just gaming, and it doesn't belong on Twitch. Sometimes they're just gaming, it belongs on Twitch, but the people from those other platforms come to Twitch because they think it's basically, that other site. There's a lot of off-brand that happens that people seem to think that that's okay. And if they're not doing it, then that's when the trolls come out and people get banhammered for something stupid.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are basically erotic cosplayers who are stepping into the world of Twitch and either attempting to do what Twitch does normally, where it's, we're going to play video games, we're going to do this and the other thing, or they're just trying to do what somebody like an Amaranth does, and that's it's fine either way. But it's you're definitely kind of walking a line there. As Twitch is attempting to diversify its own content, it kind of becomes a case where you are very much going to see more and more of this sort of thing happen, because Twitch is going to want wider and wider varieties of content. It's going to want to try to be something other than a video game streaming service.
Well, which is prevalent from the entire idea of changing the way IRL functions by diversifying the way the IRL section exists between creative, music, just chatting and podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
or talk shows as they call it. By changing it from just IRL to, you know, compartmentalizing the different styles of IRL, that in itself became such a popular choice of because, like, if you really think about it, if you go as far back as you can with what Justin.tv was, it was just talk shows, it was just podcasts, it was just talking. There wasn't a lot of gameplay because it was around at a time where game capture was still very rough, and in an instant, it was basically in its infancy. It was very difficult for people to be able to do that consistently and have an audience. When they decided to step away from that to make it more game focused, because I don't know if you remember this, and many people don't, when Twitch first went live, Justin was still around.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a Justin account, you were for talk shows and non-video game content. But if you were on Twitch, it was video game content only. And if you didn't have some form of game content on your screen at all times, you could get banned. Because that wasn't what Twitch.tv was supposed to be about. Twitch was supposed to be the gaming aspect of it, and Justin was supposed to be the talk show aspect of it. When they decided that having two separate sites and trying to, you know, manifest two separate sets of servers for all of that logistically was just a fucking nightmare, they shut down the Justin.tv brand and rebranded as just the new Twitch.tv, and having the ability to just simply deal with just the aspect of live streaming in general. You guys talked about other channels and other places that you guys used to stream on. Livestream, Ustream, Hitbox. All of these other sites popped up because of what Twitch.tv was doing.
Yep.
And a lot of it was because they wanted to be the next Twitch TV, because they realized this is the future. People want to see live catered content without having to worry about waiting for somebody to release their next YouTube video.
Yeah, and it's unfortunately become a thing now where it's only the people with the shitloads of money are going to be able to be competitive in that space. So,
Yep.
you know, Amazon owns Twitch now and lords over the streaming platform like the fucking Omega Man. So you've got the competitors are Facebook, YouTube, Microsoft with Mixer. And streaming isn't just about video gaming and podcasting anymore. It's
existing in that virtual space that, like I said, is that weird space between EdTV and the Truman Show, where people want to just see his content.
People they want to be able to kind of sort of, for lack of a better way of explaining it, they want to be able to kind of exist in a way where they're getting something of a parasocial relationship out of the people that they're interacting with. So, you know, for massive streamers who are actually recording shows or playing video games, like that is what it is. But then you've got people who go on there just, you know, to paint or to, like, I've done painting streams.
Oh, interesting. So, I know he's not posting in the chat directly, but fun fact about Twitch. Day9 was the very first Twitch streamer to get a sub button, and for a while it was just him because they hard-coded a lot of the stuff and built in the subscription feature in collaboration with him. I actually didn't know that. That's actually pretty cool. Like, the fact that it grew with the content creators. So that's interesting.
That doesn't surprise me, honestly.
No, I mean, Sean's a good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it's not Jeff Keighley.
Fair. But yeah, it's I guess, like, at the end of the day, like, the major point of concern here is that how do I put this?
It feels like they're trying to be too broad, but they're not really hitting the mark all of the time. Like, they're trying to get a hat trick, but they're not quite hitting the center bullseye as they should be.
Well, it's not just that. Like, I definitely think that streaming is going to have to become a bigger and bigger thing.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
that it's going to encompass more stuff that you might want to do live, whatever that might be. I mean, we're at a point now where like fucking Impact Wrestling is running their weekly shows on Twitch. So it's streaming is becoming more and more of a thing for every potential platform out there. It's not just a video gaming thing. It's not just a podcasting thing. I think that now more than ever, Twitch and Mixer and Facebook and YouTube need to specifically attempt to codify what they do and do not care about on a user behavior basis. And they need to be consistent about this sort of thing, because we're starting to get to the point right now where viewers are sort of looking at the situation and going, well, this is not consistent, and this, if anything, feels like it is biased towards bigger streamers. I don't necessarily, I think that it is, but I don't necessarily think it's as bad as people are perceiving it to be. Like,
I mean, there are ways. So if you really kind of think about how streaming kind of became as big as it is now, you kind of have to go back to YouTube to really sort of see how that growth sort of began to explode. When streamers who started on Twitch and stayed with Twitch as the only content providing platform for their brand, you saw that grow organically purely based on what it was they were doing. When you saw YouTubers who had this same style of catered content and people expected that content from those people come from YouTube after 5 or 6 years on the platform, come to Twitch to start to stream as well as create catered content on their YouTube channels, that's when you saw the next big growth. You started seeing these bigger names coming only from YouTube to the streaming platform to see this content live as it was happening, versus just something that they kind of catered and created and scripted and put together. Even though, and I use the word scripted very loosely in that context, because a lot of it wasn't just, I've got a script in front of me, I'm reading from it, and that's how the content is going to be created. It was scripted in a way that it made sense because it had a logical beginning, middle, and end. The beginning was always going to be their introduction, which was very static and very samey. The exit was always very static and very samey, because you go to a content video on YouTube and they always say, "What's up, guys?" or "Hey, it's your boy," or "Hey, it's me," and it's always the same thing. And then the very end, they've always got their little outro catchphrase, because that's how YouTube works. On Twitch, it's a completely different story, but they were able to carry that content and that face from their YouTube content to Twitch. Like you said, the next logical step is to just continue to see the organic, and I don't like using the word biological growth because it isn't really biological, but that's the best it's the best word that I can use to make it make sense in the context, is that the growth of what live streaming isn't the same as it was just a couple of years ago. And it will continue to evolve and continue to grow and continue to be different. The issue now becomes no longer what can you and can you not stream in terms of what game you're playing. Now it's a matter of what can you and can't you get away with while you're streaming those games, if you're even streaming games. At this point, it now becomes what your catered content or what your content in general is actually going to be for the audience that you want to bring in. And not just that, but also have the ability to not have to worry about whether or not they're dodging ban hammers the entire time. Because we all know how IRL works. We've all seen it happen here. We've seen it happen in other channels. There will always be some people who will roll into a channel, see a specific type of person, and start emote spamming or picture spamming, and either you have a lot of ban hammers on a bunch of people who just created an account last week because they wanted to troll people on Twitch, or you have a lot of problems because now all of a sudden they're reporting your channel and you're getting a temporary ban for content that you may or may not actually have actually done. So it really now becomes this weird sort of social experiment, basically, of trying to figure out where that middle ground is actually going to be at, where you can continue to provide the content to the people who actually give a shit about what you're doing and not having to worry about that many trolls, knowing that at least one or two are still going to weasel their way in. And maybe they stay because they actually like what you're doing. Maybe they stay because they're just that hard of a troll.
Yeah, and I mean the thing to me is, at the end of the day, Twitch and other streaming services need to figure out now, while it's less of a problem and while people are starting to become more aware of it, what they want to do as far as it comes down to enforcing things onto the content creators. Because as it stands right now, Twitch looks like the fucking bad guy for all the stuff that's going on. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of thing. And they need to figure out if this is the way they want this to be, because I absolutely don't think the two are related, but I think a lot of people are going to draw the line that this is like why Ninja left. And this is going to start being a thing where you're going to start seeing content creators kind of sort of leaning into that on platforms. Whenever a platform does something like this, they're going to be like, oh, you know, this, that, and the other thing, so on and so forth, about how that's enforced. And it's going to be a constant focus of drama channels. It's going to be this self-feeding Ouroboros deal that just does not need to exist, and it's just going to be miserable for everybody. And I really hope that Twitch actually pays attention to this and takes this seriously and fucking does something about it now, before they get into the Twitter sort of situation where it's years later and everybody thinks that your fucking service is a goddamn hell site because you can't fucking micromanage bullshit like this.
Oh, hi, Tumblr.
Yeah. I don't know. That's as far as I've got to go with this sort of thing. Like,
yeah,
it sucks, and I hope that they get their shit together on it, but who knows?
Yeah, like I feel like sort of my closing on it basically is this. We're at a point now where we've never been before. And we'll never be again, because it's only going to be up from here. We are already at the peak. We're going to keep climbing to try to figure out where this is actually going to end. Don't think it's gonna, but I think it's going to change, obviously, because you keep moving forward and the scenery is going to eventually change to something new anyway. But the issue is, and Gon makes a very good point, you know, a lot of times you get a lot of these smaller streamers, you get these people who have very small channels, and you get a raid or you get somebody that happens to find you and they start bringing more and more people and you just get big and you don't have any way of being able to personally control what happens. That's scary. You know, the most I've ever had in my channel at any given time, I think, is like 58. And that was hell. I had one mod in my channel at that time, other than me trying to handle an influx of just absolute ridiculousness on one night where I decided to do an AMA. And I had 6 people in the channel to start with. And we were talking about, I don't even remember what we were talking about at that point, but it ended up nightmare mode because we had a lot of trolls to deal with. But the baseline is where you are at now is going to be different than where we were at a couple of years ago because of the fact that they've had to grow as a company. And you're absolutely right. Twitch has to figure out, Mixer has to figure out, YouTube, Facebook, all these people that are doing these kinds of content and are hosting the ability for people to do these kinds of content have to figure out what they're going to do next to be able to curtail the real bad versus weird, it wasn't all that bad drama, because that's basically what it is, you know. So a collective hammer on everybody that's doing one specific thing wrong, or a weird, I'm gonna do it anyway kind of hammer because they got a weird influx and the algorithm decided it's just going to get shut down for 3 days because we don't really know what happened because we got an influx of requests to ban the channel. It's silly, and it's man hours that's very difficult when you have this many people on the platform. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people that watch and stream on a daily basis, every minute of every hour of every day on all of these platforms. And it's not something that you can easily police with people all the time. So you have to rely on the almighty algorithm. You don't have a choice in some cases because you just have too much content to cater, too much content to wrestle through to try to figure out what's next, who's doing what. Are we getting these ban requests erroneously? Is it a bot? Is it somebody that's actually got like a bunch of people in the channel and they're all saying this is bad, this is bad? Like it goes viral very quickly because we don't know. And so stuff like that happens where a girl in a conservative cosplay gets a 3-day ban, or man walks into bathroom and films when he shouldn't have and gets a ban, and then gets his channel back because reasons. He broke the law. He knows he broke the law. He apologized for breaking the law and is still streaming to this day. We get it. Weird shit happens all the time. The next step is to figure out how to mediate that shit and figure out what we need to do, not just as streamers, but what Twitch needs to do as a company to be able to continue forward and not have it be a complete shit show.
Yeah.
So I am not entirely sure what happened to Hubs. He sort of...
I think he died.
I'm not sure what happened. He made some changes to the layout and he went away and...
Hubs died. It's my show now.
Hubs died. Oh, good.
I claim it by divine right.
Well, technically you are the one in the next line is the session, so...
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know what we're doing right now, actually.
It's the board game streams.
Motherfucker, you come to the board game streams.
Buzzing. Yeah, I don't know.
But he just notified me that he is he's away, so he's asking us to just wrap it up. So
no, I didn't figure that's what we were gonna do. So yeah, I guess.
What do you got going on, Jan?
I'm still intermittently streaming as I sort of gather things together. Iceborne is still a game that I play on stream, and I'm still back and forth between 14 and Iceborne. I'll probably be picking up 14 again, like on stream next month once 5.1 drops, new MSQ and the near raid. So that's like a big thing for me. Iceborne is still Iceborne. I still stream that, and yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. My look to be to try to do everything that I can to get as much social media clout as possible, because apparently that's what I'm working on.
All right. Well, for me, I'm just streaming every Friday and Saturday at this point. That's all I got as far as this goes. You can check me out at twitch.tv/markbwriting, and I'm probably going to start doing more horror stuff, as I said, as October comes in. But as it stands right now, I don't really have a definitive plan at the moment, except that Code Vein is coming out soon, and I'm going to try and stream that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That comes out on Friday, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, on behalf of Miss Janice and Robert Hubbs, this is Mark B. Writing. Thank you very much, everybody who tuned in to us today. We are going to be rating Shidosha, and hopefully you will come along with us.
Have a good night, everyone.